Alright, now on to coloring our stamped image. I've already got my image stamped on my watercolor paper using the StazOn ink. This is pretty simple, but I'll kind of walk you through it again. Your StazOn ink is always what you want to use to stamp your main image whenever you're coloring with aqua painters or blender pens. Today we're using blender pens. So you want to open up your StazOn ink and ink your stamp up really, really well. Center it over your paper, press down, and press really evenly to make sure you get a really crisp, clean stamped image. If you don't want part of the image to show, this is the Easter stamp, but if you want to use it other than Easter time, just cover up the text on the stamp with Scotch tape, ink it up as normal, and then peel the tape off before stamping your image. You won't get the text, but you'll get the pretty flower image. Then you can leave it just as it is, or you can add a different sentiment if you want to. So I've got that done already, and now we just have to color our image. Before we get started, I'm using 3 colors today: Pear Pizzazz, Daffodil Delight, and Real Red. Easiest way to go about using your blender pens or your aqua painters and picking up ink is to take your ink pad and squeeze it in the middle, touching the pad to the lid of the ink. And when you snap it open and flip it, you've got a nice little puddle of ink in the lid that you can pick up with your blender pen and use to color the image. So I've got that on all 3 colors. Now I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can really see the image as I'm coloring. I want to get as close as I can without getting blurry. That looks like it's good. Alright, so I'm going to do the green first. Hopefully you can see me do this pretty well. Basically, I'm going to color all of the leaves, but I'm going to try to concentrate on keeping the darkest part on the edges of the leaf. Initially, when you pick up color with your blender pen, the first few strokes are going to be the darkest, and then as the ink runs out, it's going to start getting lighter, so you'll have to re-ink it quite a few times. But this works to your advantage. So you can actually kind of color the lines in and the edges first. And by the time you're done with that, you don't have a whole lot of ink, but a little bit. It's a lot lighter colored. So you can color in the main part of the image. It's a much lighter green color. You can then go and re-ink and follow the outside edges again and the lines. And anywhere you really want to darken up the ink. Really gives it some depth. Hopefully you can really see what I'm doing and my hand isn't in the way. probably is a little bit, but maybe you get the idea. And don't forget to color your stems of your tulips as well. All right, so that looks pretty good. And then I'm going to color on my scrap piece of paper until my blender pen is running clear again. I'm still going to use the other side. You could do whatever you want. All right, now on to the flowers. You want to start with the lightest color first. So I'm going to start with my Daffodil Delight. I pick up a little bit of ink onto my image, and I'm going to concentrate on the very top of my petals here. I want to get the very darkest of the yellow on the very tip of the tulip petals. And as I'm running out of yellow ink and it's getting lighter, I kind of want to bring the yellow color down the petal a little bit, especially on the edges. So darker on the top, lighter kind of down on the sides. And get up a little bit more. Dark on the top, lighter down the sides. And go back and darken the very tip some more. But you really want to get that yellow, because we're going to go back and add the real red. And it's very dark, so we're going to kind of blend that into this yellow. So even if you want to kind of go halfway down, lighter and lighter yellow, that's fine. But you do want to make sure you leave the very base of the tulips white, because we really want to get a true red color there. So I'm going to scribble off my Daffodil Delight. And now we're going to go on with the red. So I'm going to gather up my real red. And in the beginning, we're going to kind of do the opposite of what we did with the yellow. We're going to color the very darkest right at the very base of the petals and not bring it up too high. Just a little bit. Tiny bit at the base of the petals. And really keep that a true red. Then we can start to bring the red up a little bit. As it's kind of getting lighter, start bringing it up the petal. And we'll start to blend it a little bit. If you have a super lot of red in there, you don't want to get too much red. You might color a few strokes on your scratch paper and then go back. See if you can see what I'm doing here. Alright, so I'm bringing the red up, and as I'm doing that, I'm kind of rubbing up and down and kind of blending that in with the yellow there. You don't want to have any harsh lines, but really blend the two together. Blender pens are great for that. So I'm going to get a little tiny bit more red. Add a little bit right there. Going to come up from the bottom. Just a hint of the red kind of up. Just really pulling it up there toward the top. Blending it some more a little bit until we've got this really nice, pretty tulip there. And that's it. Before you put your ink up, always color your blender pen. Get rid of all that extra ink. And you're done. We've got our really pretty fiery tulips there, ready to go on our card.